Hello everybody, and just here, and welcome back to Frieren, episode 19, in which we will probably see how the, the magical aptitude test exam, whatever it is, goes. In the previous episode, we finally got to Strahl, or what, no, it's not Strahl. Strahl was the previous city, right? This is Oiserst. Oiserst. Right, we got to Oiserst to finally take the exam that Frieren needs to be a certified first-class mage so that they can continue their journey. All the way to the journey's end, right? The exam takes place every 3 years, so I guess they also decided that, sure, while we're here, might as well just have Fern enroll, and Fern can also get the certification, get the examination, because she is a third-class mage, but only because the third-class exam was the quickest. It was the first one that was available. She didn't want to wait for second class or first class or whatever, so she took the first exam available. Entirely plausible that she actually is a first-class mage, though, so that's gonna be interesting. All the while, Stark is just hanging around, sleeping in a library, and staring at a staircase because it's a magical city and he doesn't really have much to do here, does he? What else? Or rather, what next? Next, we were introduced to a slew of new characters that will be together with our girls will be intermingled within groups, because the test is the first one, at least, is that there is a forest. It's surrounded in a barrier, and without exiting that barrier, you have to catch a supersonic bird in groups of 3. And the groups are Fern together with what's her face, with Jubel, and with some glasses wearing rando who I don't think even is listed on the list of characters. Jubel is an interesting character. We've seen a little cut away to her earlier in the episode when she met Kraft, and she was about to murk some bandits, and it really seems like she's taken maybe not a hobby of hunting bandits, but kind of, intentionally provoking them so that they attack, so that she can have the excuse of, oh, I was just, it was just self-defense, and I buried their bodies properly, so all's good, right? She is an interesting character, certainly, and she's gonna cause some problems. She's absolutely gonna cause some issues. I can fully envision her having to fight Fern, or Fern having to fight Jubel. I can 100% see that being the case. The second group that Frieren is a part of also consists of Kanne and Lavine, who are 2 mages. They are giving me childhood friend vibes. Maybe they are childhood friends, maybe not. It's unclear. They have some really nice chemistry, right? That like love-hate relationship. They are very much tsundere for each other, but when they work together really fucking well. And ultimately they support each other in the end, so a very interesting, very complex, very layered relationship they're having. And Frieren is kind of sort of acting like a mentor for them for the brief time that they will work together, which is cool. And perfectly in line with my expectations of having to support some sort of an underdog. And the third team is Denken, who's a like imperial mage or something, got that position through, rising through the ranks. Virbel, who's like a what do they call him? He's like a leader of some sort of magic military corps or something like that, and someone else is also with them whose name I cannot recall, and I cannot even recall their face, to be perfectly honest with you. So let's continue. Frieren, of course, helps her team. We follow Frieren all the while. She knows about the bird, she knows more or less how to catch it. And eventually she also saves Kanne from a big bird. And they came up with an idea that, hey, there's a shield around the forest, right? It's raining outside, but the raindrops aren't making it through, so the barrier is solid. Perhaps we can, chase that bird to the barrier, and that barrier, the bird's not gonna be able to cross it. So we just, like if you see a spider on the wall, you take a glass or a jar or something and put it on the wall, and you get the spider that way. I'm assuming they want to do something similar with the bird. And I think that's it about the previous episode. Was there anything else that was particularly significant? Oh, there is someone who recognized Frieren's holy emblem. So I guess it's not a completely unknown thing, so that's cool. And that's about it. That's about it as the previous episode is concerned. In today's episode, either we will follow Fern's team for a moment, which would also be cool, or we continue from the previous episode. We follow Frieren and her team, and we catch the bird. Probably, possibly, hopefully. And yeah, that's about it. I guess a little bit of housekeeping. This episode is late. I had some friends over yesterday, so I wasn't able to record it, but it's here. So, with that explanation, I guess we can just start watching the episode, right? Shall we? To do it, you will of course need your subs to follow along with me. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show. And I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you nothing and helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching Frieren episode 19 in 3, 2, 1, go! A recap? Okay, I guess a little bit of a recap. So, now that we know those additional characters, who seem to be mainstay characters for, I would even risk saying, the rest of the season, I wonder if something new about them can be gleaned from the opening. Right, there's also this like short stack mage elf girl who I guess is gonna be an important character as well. Yeah, some combat, curiously. Inter-student combat, which is interesting. What would lead to students during the magical test to fight each other, right? It's not like there's a limited amount of slots that can be taken by the, winners of the exam. So it's not like you have to eliminate your competition. Supporting each other even through the sleep. I mean, yeah, of course. Only an idiot would not be scared of fighting a dragon. Yeah, for sure. There's no universal recipe. Ah, look how she's clinging to her friend. Oh, well, that was easy. What do you mean? Okay. Now that makes sense. It's not that you catch it and bring it to the examiner. You catch it, and at the end of the exam, everybody of the party needs to be present with the bird. So there's that period of time when someone can actually attack you and steal that bird from you. Okay. All right. I see where it's going. Maybe you're simply not as good as at suppressing mana as Frieren. Hmm. Watch Frieren fail the test and Fern actually pass it. Oh? Very specialized spell, isn't it? Yeah, one of her endless repertoire. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So folk magic works like kind of like orc magic from 40k. If you think something is a grape, then you can turn it sour with grape souring spell, even if it's not actually a grape. Huh. Well, time to learn to suppress your mana better. There's a lake in the area, isn't there? Hmm. Oh, I thought that her magic is just limited to water, but... Oh, she can manipulate water, but she cannot create it. Gotcha. But the barrier prevents rain from happening. Can we create a mana net that the Stille will just run away from, and thus uh, we can chase it into a corner somewhere and capture it that way? That's probably what they're talking about here. I don't know, because it's completely silent. Oh, what kind of plan is that that would require fighting with other groups? They're great. This team has an amazing chemistry. Of course, you would want to fight Yubel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder how did they manage. Oh, Frieren is collecting water? Or... Right, water cannot flow into the area. Probably, yes. Mm-hmm. There is no other body of water, so it kind of does guarantee it. Huh. Right. Can't you use like a drilling spell to drill into underground water layer? And here comes combat. Zulfrak! It's the captain of the magical corps, isn't it? Yeah, that's his team. Straight into melee range. That seems unwise. Sharf and Ehre. She's the quickest draw in the West. And what is that? Frieren, isn't it? Has to be. And it just evaporated, didn't it? No. Frozen. That's one hell of a powerful spell, being able to freeze an entire pond, entire lake. Oh, I thought she's gonna faint because it takes a lot of mana, but no. Mm-hmm. Why are they trying to chase it away from the lake? Great music. Oh, a secret pond. Yeah, the Stille is even less likely to approach now, with this mana being around. Mm-hmm. Besides, Stille cannot really be detected with magic, can they? Hey, title drop. Well, shit. Some people actually do die during the test, it seems. Some vulture equivalents. Guys. Oh, that's interesting. Leave a carcass. Other animals approach the carcass, and you can snatch those animals. Huh. It is the first class exam after all, isn't it? Yeah, you should be at least strong enough to deal with the monsters if you're trying to become a first class mage, right? Like, screw catching the Stille, but you should be at least strong enough to fend off the monsters. Interesting. Hmm. Actually makes sense. It's one thing to be powerful, it's another to, like, make use of this power, right? And here's a watering hole. Are they creating them artificially? Or laying traps for other parties? Or what's their plan exactly? Yeah, a lot of puddles. Yeah. So false watering holes so that the other parties wait around those, but there is one that they know of that doesn't have any mana. Okay. It's gonna keep other parties away from them, and it's also gonna give them a chance to catch a Stille. Huh. Okay, so they didn't create those puddles, they just infused them with mana. Gotcha. Conceal, don't feel. A stileken. Hello. You, creature. Oh, here's a big one. Red feathers. Well, orange, really. Sup. Easy. That's the power of a Disney princess. Birds flock to you. How did you find them? Oh, instant transmission? Hello, Chun-Li. Just Zoltrak her. It's not gonna be that hard, is it? Turning petals into blades. Interesting. Yeah, nobody can cast quite as many spells as Frieren. I mean, you wouldn't be incorrect here. Because she doesn't want to kill you, probably. Yeah. It probably is. Yeah, not enough. Yeah, you wouldn't be, again, you wouldn't be incorrect in that assumption. Would she, though? Some sort of blade magic. Interesting. Yeah, but not as much power as you. No. No, because she also very much fights underhanded. They're kind of like worth each other. Virbel versus Jubel really seems like the perfect match, doesn't it? And an episode all too short. Just when things started getting, it ended. This is like, what, 28 episodes, right? Yeah, 28. Right, yeah, it does count the initial 4. For some reason, I thought that the initial 4 episodes launched as one long movie, and they kind of did, but not on streaming services, so yeah, 28 contains those as well. So we're gonna have, this was 19, 9 more episodes. Okay, sure. I would say 1 more episode for this test, then maybe 3 more for the rest of the arc, and 5 episodes for the next arc, maybe. Necessary killing. Oh, who's gonna die? Probably not Fern. Probably not Frieren. Virbel? Kind of a safe bet, I guess. Maybe Denken. One of the named characters for sure. Yeah. But I don't think it would be like Kanne or Lavine. One of the named characters, but the ones who are antagonistic right now to Fern's and Frieren's teams. That would be my guess. And probably Fern will have to do the killing. First time in her life, she's gonna have to kill a human. Wouldn't surprise me either. Would be a very interesting like character building moment for her, wouldn't it? Having to kill a fellow human in self-defense. Let's watch it again, shall we? Yes, we shall. Recap, opening. Here we have Virbel carrying Echre on his back, so I would assume they both survive. Here's Chun-Li, whose real name is Laufen, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And this is Serie, whatever, another long-lived elf. This is great. Kanne just munching on that blanket. Meanwhile, Lavine is like giving her pep talk through their sleep. I want to have what they're having. Aizen, of course, is scared. Only a fool would not be scared of fighting a dragon, right? It doesn't mean that Aizen won't fight. He will. But he is afraid. It's only normal to be, right? And yeah, every party is different. Look at how much she's clutching onto her. This was fast. I wonder how did they manage to catch this Stille. Would it be Fern who'd done it? I don't think Yubel has magic that would be whatchamacallit. What's the word I'm looking for? Delicate and intricate enough to catch a bird and not kill it. She rather strikes me as someone that would just create a cloud of sharp air, and everything that enters just gets cuts on their body. Right? She strikes me as this kind of a character. The glasses dude, I have no fucking clue who he even is, so I have no idea what's his deal. This is very interesting. All this time, I was under the impression that you have, like, what is it, 2 or 3 days, whatever, to catch that Stille. You catch it, you bring it, your whole entire team, you bring it to the examinator, and you are free to go. And the rest continues their hunt as long as necessary, and those who haven't shown their Stille to the examiner by the time is up, they just don't pass. But no, there is a set deadline. And you not only have to catch the bird until that deadline, you also have to keep the bird until that deadline. and you have to keep your whole party until that deadline. It's right. It's a huge jump in difficulty from what I thought it is. It's time to fight other mages. Fly faster than the speed of sound. We cannot catch up to them. They break free of most restraints. They detect magic really quickly. They themselves have really almost no mana, so we cannot detect them. Like the perfect prey, essentially. The perfect prey animal that cannot be tracked, cannot be captured, cannot be hunted, even. And yeah, another thing, we don't know how many there are either. There could be, like, what? There's 57 teams. So that would be 57 people, 3 people in a team. That would make 10, like not 15, 16, 13, 14, something like that. Something like that. Teams. More than 10 teams. And maybe there are only like 5 Stile in the forest. Right? That's another thing. We've only spotted 3, and you cannot even be sure that they are different and distinct, can you? Yeah, we have a bird catching spell. This is very interesting. It's folk magic, so it works according to the understanding of the folk. Right? There might be a spell that makes fruit taste sweeter, but it's not gonna work on a tomato, because to folk knowledge, tomato is a vegetable, not a fruit. So the fruit spell is not going to work on the tomato, even though it is a fruit. Right? This kind of deal? This kind of thing? Because if so, then that's cool, and that kind of introduces us to yet another branch of magic. Right? Goddess magic, demon magic, magic, and folk magic. 4 types of magic already, each having slightly different, slightly altered rules and quirks. Which is cool. Which is really, really cool, having this many schools of magic, types of magic. We couldn't have because the range is abysmal. Yeah, we need to find a way to get closer to it. It gets close to water. Yeah. And the Stile stays away from mana-infused water. Amazing moments. And Frieren's face is probably the best thing here. Land. Okay, his name is Land. We're hiding. Problem is we have no water. You would think that a mage would really like to have a water procurement spell in their repertoire, whatever method of procurement that might be. It could be a, as I said, groundwater spell, right? Soil is wet, soil is moist. Maybe a spell that can extract moisture from the soil so you get pure water and you can drink that. Maybe a spell that just Zolfrags your way into the groundwater layer and you get a spring. Maybe a spell that can collect humidity from the air or something like that, right? After all, water is the most important thing for human survival. It's a necessary requirement. So you'd think there would be plenty of spells about procuring water. At least, like, I'm not talking spells that allow you to summon water from nowhere to fill a lake with it, but at least spells that will let you fill up your canteen over the course of half an hour. Right? At least something like that. Apparently not. There's a lake, dry riverbed, because the barrier also stops the flow of water. Interesting. And yeah, everybody will be waiting around the lake, of course, because that's where the Stile will amass. I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping for a little bit more combat. When they attacked, I was already starting to get hyped for a really nice fight. Frieren versus Wirbel? What's his face? Yeah, Wirbel. Frieren versus Wirbel would be really cool. Somewhere on the side, Jubel also helping them. Sharp is like, whatever, probably gonna die soon. Ehre, sure, she seems fine. Similar to Fern, kinda sorta in her demeanor. And she's using a barbell as a staff. Huh, interesting choice. Yeah, I was hyped for some combat. I was hyped for some fighting. But apparently not. Yeah, Wirbel is of course ready to kill, but so is Jubel. And she's down. She's down for a duel to the death, absolutely. She couldn't have been happier, in fact. She really wanted someone to attack them so that she can have an excuse of, oh, it was self-defense. Teehee. Big spell, freezing an entire lake. That kind of makes me ask a question about, like, limits of magic. We know mana is a thing, but how much mana do spells actually consume? You would think that freezing an entire lake worth of water and freezing it completely to the point of creating those, like, glaciers, it's not just a surface level freeze. You'd think it would require a metric fuck ton of mana. And here, when she started swaying, I fully expected her to just... when did it start? Here. Right? She closes her eyes. She bends slightly forward. Her staff disappears. I really expected her to just pass out because she used up all of her mana. But no. Apparently not. So she has more than we thought. Denken. He is not an Imperial Mage for nothing. He knows his stuff. He's probably one of the people who deserve the title of the first class mage the most here. Those two, whatever people with him in the team, whatever, they're probably second grade, second class, and they're not gonna climb much higher. Denken, though, I can see that he actually can deserve first class mage rank. And yeah, they're melting the water, they're melting the ice, but that introduces more mana into the environment. Of course, the Stille will keep away. We get a little bit of a standoff, then Frieren walking, then Kanne, then Frieren, and then a little bit of a standoff. I really was hoping for like a full-on proper combat here, but instead we're just getting glimpses into the fight. Let's scatter for now. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, actually. Yeah, everybody is an idiot. Denken is actually deserving of the title. This is also... Right, they just died to monsters. Someone who is hoping to become a first-class mage died to monsters. It really shows that they shouldn't be a first-class mage, doesn't it? A very interesting way of hunting. Fell for their trap and got themselves killed. Yeah. Nothing of the test takers dying. Not quite. It's like you're doing it at your own risk, right? You are given a list of risks and you sign that, yes, I am aware and I absolve the Academy of any fault, yada, 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 yada. You sign that waiver and whatever, you wanted that. We notified you, we told you there's gonna be monsters, there's a chance of dying, you really have to be fucking strong to complete it, but they wanted to do it anyway. And yeah, that's how they ended up. Anyone who would die here is unqualified to be a first class mage, absolutely. And he's just hanging around with a Stille, drinking some nice tea or coffee or whatever it is. Them their outdated ideas. Actually, it would make more sense to make it like a gradual thing, right? Like you have to be a second grade mage to take the first class test, and you have to be a third class mage to take the second class test, right? So that people who are like fifth grade or whatever cannot just randomly enter first class test. You'd think it would be the case, but no, apparently not, because we know that Frieren is third grade and she was able to enter. Frieren is, for all we know, just ungraded. She just doesn't have a class, and she still was able to enter this test. Yeah, it really would make more sense to make it more graded, because you would also just end up with more mages being alive. Because a fourth class mage might take up a first class exam and they're gonna die, or they're gonna take up third class exam, they're gonna pass, second class exam, they're gonna pass, but just about barely, and that's gonna give them the knowledge that, okay, I barely passed second class, I'm not ready for the first class. But you have a second class mage in the pool instead of having a corpse, right? So this method makes sense from like a purely pragmatic standpoint of the weak shall be culled, but it doesn't make sense if you actually want to proliferate mages across the world, right? If you actually care about the population of mages. First class mages need only be symbols of power, no matter how powerful you are. Unless you can control people's hearts, you're as good as powerless. And yeah, there are probably plenty of mages who just either don't know they are mages, or they don't know just how strong they are, or they just wasted away and nobody examined them ever, and they have no clue about their own power. And they just exist in the world because they don't have the drive, they don't have the charisma, they don't have the, I don't know, whatever is necessary to rise up in the ranks of mages. Someone as weak as you is perfect for the job? Yeah, as weak, sure. Keep telling yourself that, my dude. He's probably one of the strongest people here, probably only second to Frieren, maybe third to Fern. Probably, that would be my guess. Yeah, poisoning all of the water sources with mana, so that the groups, the teams that cannot detect mana as easily as Denken can. That's a nice way to say it. As Denken can, they will just, stick around to those watering holes, and they're not gonna bother Frieren's team. They're not gonna bother trying to steal their bird, because they're gonna wait for theirs, not knowing that no Stile will arrive at the watering hole. Meanwhile, one and only one watering hole, or maybe like three, but one for the most part, is free of the mana, so the Stile will flock there. That's a nice little moment. I fully expected Frieren, after this cut, I fully expected Frieren to end up like a Disney princess, surrounded with like does and fawns and birds nestling in her hair and shit like that. But no, instead we just get a single Stile. Captured. Easy. They used magic after all, not even the most skilled mage can conceal that moment. Right, so they were concealing their magic all this time, but the use of magic gave away their location. And Chun-Li here can use instant transmission with a very, very nice smear. And we finally get the fighting that I was hoping for. This is cool. This is really cool. Turning flower petals into needles and flinging them at your enemy. Haha, all according to Keikaku. She's flinging rocks, meanwhile. Her technique is refined, shows no openings, but it's old. I mean, like teacher, like master, like student, or however it goes, right? You only use basic spells. Yeah, I don't need no more. I don't need to use any, any big spells. I don't need to use anything complex. I could have just used Fireball, really, but you're kind of strong, so I'm gonna use Energy Beam instead, right? It's, my expression of a little bit of, whatchamacallit, respect for you. I respect you enough to not just, use a Fireball. It's kind of passe. It's enough to defeat mages of this era. Probably she's correct. What's this feeling of wrongness? It's like I'm fighting an experienced mage. You kinda are. Frieren might not have lived in experience, not that much, but she has a lot of experience passed on to her by Frieren for sure. And I guess a fair share of lived in experience as well, because they've been traveling for however many years, and Frieren has been using magic all this time. She fought demons, for fuck's sake, right? If you fought Virbel, you'd be dead by now? We'd see. We would see about that. She would just step up the complexity of her spells a little bit, and I can see Virbel winning. You're the strongest one here. Probably in the amount of mana, the strength of her spells, and stuff like that. Oh, and Virbel is using a wand, not a staff. Interesting, so wands are a thing as well. And it seems like she's just creating invisible blades in the air or something. Captain of the Northern Magic Corps that fought against the remnants of the Demon King's forces. I did fight against the remnants of the Demon King's forces as well, so we're kinda even there. Frieren should say. He has more experience in battle, I guess. Underhanded for the sole purpose of winning. Like demon magic, you say? Well, I have experience fighting against demons, actually, so... Have you ever heard the name Lugner, perchance? Yubel will probably be killed. Fat chance. Fat chance, honestly. Is that so? I love how absolutely nonplussed and emotionless Frieren is during this whole combat. I really, really, really enjoy the trope of a character who's completely expressionless and they snap their fingers and a city explodes. Right? Not taking any pleasure in it, not grinning ear to ear, not straining themselves, not anything, just, yeah, I'm strong. I don't really need to do anything. Zolthrak, 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 Zolthrak. Everybody's dead. Sure, okay. That's about how I envisioned that would go. I really like Frieren. I really, really, really like her as a character. I really like her as a mage. She's a great character. And that's it. An episode all too short for my tastes. Should have been double length, honestly. Every single episode in Frieren should have been double length. Imagine, 28 episodes, 48 minutes each. That would be a treat, wouldn't it? I'll crush her, he's strong, you old fart. Sure, someone's gonna die probably. Necessary Killing is the title of the next episode. Alright. Alright. I'm looking a little bit too red, I think. That's better. Good episode. Again, very good. I was kind of hoping for more combat here, but I have a sneaking suspicion we're gonna get the proper full-on combat in the next episode. This episode was just a prelude. It was just setting up the combat scenes, combat scenarios, right? We had set up Virbel versus Yubel. We have set up what's their face? Land. Oh, I see him, the glass guy. Land versus whoever the fuck, I don't know, what's his face? It was either, is Geno the examiner or is Richter the examiner? I don't know, versus the other dude, Fern versus Echre, and Frieren's team versus Denken's team, or more immediately, Frieren's team versus Leuven. Cool. All the while, this episode was mostly just a setup, though. Again, I don't want to use the term like transitionary episode, because every episode in Frieren could be seen as a transitionary episode. But it really felt like mostly just a setup. Like, okay, cool, sure, we completed the task, we got the bird, there was a lot of setup for catching that bird, we finally caught it, but that's kind of not the meat and potatoes of this sub-arc. The meat and potatoes will be fighting fellow mages and trying to emerge victorious from that. So yeah, it really feels like the next episode is going to be the climax of this arc, of the sub-arc at least. I don't know whether there's going to be more testing. There's probably going to be more testing, because there's no chance that only like a few people will emerge victorious. There's going to be at least half a dozen people emerging victorious from this, if not more, if not like a dozen. So they will need to be sieved through a little bit more finely. Some more of them will need to be removed from the pool, and also on just their individual basis, because right now it was a team play, so that we can very quickly discard large amounts of candidates. But it's not about which team deserves to be the first class, it's about which person deserves to be the first class. So there's gonna be more tests incoming. Which kind of makes me wonder, how will the remaining 9 episodes go? I think I can easily see 5-ish episodes, at least more, dedicated to the Magical Academy and the testing and the trying to get the first grade, and the last 4 episodes being something else, whatever it might be. I wonder if the other elf Seri is going to be a part of this arc, the Magical Academy arc, in which case I can easily see it continue all the way to the end of the season, or is she going to be a separate arc? I don't know, we'll see all about it. I'm certainly waiting for the next episode. I really am, with bated breath. I need to see Fern kick some ass. That's all, really. I really want to see Fern kick some ass. I love seeing Fern kick some ass, and this is another great opportunity for her to do so. So I'm really gonna be waiting. I'm really excited. And I think that's gonna be it right now for this episode. There's probably gonna be more to talk about in the next one, but right now, that's gonna be it from me for today. But maybe you guys have something more to add on the topic. If so, say so in the comments down below. What did you think of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that? No spoilers, please. Spoilers, go to my Discord, here also in the description below. Like this video if you did. Subscribe to be notified of future videos, not only Frieren, but also Magia Record, Shangri-La Frontier, whenever that comes out eventually. Sasaki to Pichan, Dungeon Meshi, Majo to Yaju, plenty others coming in the future. Click the bell to be notified when I go live, because I do stream sometimes. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube down below. On Patreon for $10 you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Magia Record, and for $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. And on YouTube you can also support me directly via memberships, super thanks, super chats, stuff like that. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And with that, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB, Without a Net, the Group Survivor, Zayrainer, Akumaster, Dr. Wash, Marsh, Yukela, Fuzzle, and Hans Peter. And you can join them without having to freeze a lake.